Welcome to the world of rare disease, a show that focuses on awareness and education about rare and complex disorders. My name is Lisa Deck, and I am a rare disease patient, a Rare New England board member, and your host for today's show. Today, our show features Nashanta and Nazhi Forrest. Nazhi, along with her sisters Shakara and Natalia, are all rare disease patients. Today's show will discuss the girls' experience with sickle cell anemia, what the disease is, and discuss the Najee the Baker Angel Foundation. We are so thrilled to have you ladies here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, it's been a little time coming. We had some dog issues, but we are back and we're very excited to have you both here. Can we start with your personal story about how sickle cell anemia became part of your life?
Okay, I would have to say my mom can be able to better explain that because then it first started off with my oldest sister, Shakara.
As I was a teenager, I remember having a friend girl who I realized that we would be downstairs playing with our other friends, and she just was not partaking in us having fun, in the neighborhood. And so when I asked her, I said, well, why you can't come outside and play like that? She said, oh, because I have sickle cell anemia. So I didn't question to ask her, what is that? And I realized that she'll be upstairs at top and she'll be watching us while we will be downstairs playing around. So I know as a kid, especially a teenager, you're not being able to be out with your friends, and it makes you feel kind of sucky like, man. And as I became an adult and started having children of my own, my second kid, I noticed that she looked kind of different. She was born with jaundice, really bad jaundice, and her eyes were like yellow. Even up to when she was about to turn 2 years old, she still had the yellowing of the eyes. And then she came down with a really bad fever. The fever was like 100 and almost 105 fever. And when we rushed her to the ER,
Wow.
the doctor that was on, they said they had to admit her because they just couldn't get the fever to break. The attending doctor at that night asked me, she said that, does sickle cell anemia run in your family? Because she have a lot of patients who have sickle cell anemia and she's familiar with it. And I said, I know that I had the trait, but I don't think my husband had the trait at all. So it doesn't run in our family like that. She said, I want to be able to, she said, Shakar had a very large liver and she want to be able to take her for further testing, go to a specialist to test to make sure that she didn't have sickle cell anemia. She said, but I can guarantee you Shakar has sickle cell anemia. We went to
Wow.
it was Miami Children's Hospital, yeah, and it took about 2 weeks for the testing to came back. And when it came back, I was devastated to learn that my child had, have sickle cell anemia. Then I went back to that old childhood friend, and I remember her walking, and she used to she was so fragile. She was walking like she was always in pain a lot. And I was like, I was so devastated as a mom that I now have to deal with a kid who has sickle cell anemia. So it was very heart wrenching for me, and that's when sickle cell anemia, was introduced to the full blown anemia was introduced to my family. Then I went on to have more children. The third kid, when after I had Najee, they told me that she has sickle cell trait, but they not for sure. It may be the anemia, and they wanted me to go to a specialist to be able to tell if she did in fact have sickle cell anemia. They did a testing on her, and also they did a study on my husband and I. And when the study came back, the doctor told my husband and I, she was like, here's the deal. Najee does in fact have a sickle cell anemia, SS. And she was like, Mom, you have the S trait, and Dad has the S trait as well. So she asked me, she said, at the time,
Wow.
yeah, she said, do you guys plan on having more children? And I told her, I said, yes, we do. We want more kids. She said, here's the thing. If you want more children, you have to go to a fertility doctor to have them to insert all boys, because all of dad girls with you, all of them going to come out with sickle cell anemia because dad have a rare gene that affects all of his females with you.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I really didn't believe it at the time, and I didn't know that University of Miami, they were so powerful. They were known for genetic testings like that. And then at the time, when sickle cell anemia was introduced, to Nazhi. She started having crisis at a very young age.
Wow. So can you tell me a little bit about what is sickle cell anemia, and Najee, what is it like to have it? Like, what does it feel like? Do you remember? And is it still something you feel today? I know you guys have quite a story about how you had it and where you are today.
I would have to say sickle cell anemia is basically an inherited disease that you get from both of your parents. So that means, to break it down for younger kids and some adults that may not really understand what it means, since both of your parents have the trait, both of their trait genes has to make a sickle cell gene, and that's how my sisters and I got sickle cell anemia. Now, in our family, we have a well, my dad has a rare gene that only affects all of his female children. And my brother, he doesn't have the sickle cell trait or sickle cell anemia, which is crazy. Some people may think, okay, so only the girls are going to get affected by it in my family, but that's only for our family. Every family is different, and even males can be affected with sickle cell anemia, and if inside their family, male and female can be affected by it. Now, as far as today, ever since we changed our unhealthy eating habits, I have not felt any sickle cell crisis. I believe the last time I had a sickle cell crisis was last year during the summertime, due to me overworking my body and not learning how to bake on time, because then I always had a problem with that. If a lot of people that followed my journey since I was younger, they knew that I would stay up all the way until 6 o'clock in the morning, making sure that I get all of my work done. I was always that type of person that will make sure I stay up until I get it done. But I had to, after that, after my body had crashed after last year, I learned how to work on time, make sure that I eat tons of recovery foods, drink tons of water, and stay hydrated. And not only that, I go for my healthy heart walk every morning with my family.
That's awesome. I love that. And Nishanta, how did you decide to instill these traits and these habits with your girls? I mean, that's really awesome. And I know when I talked to you at another point, it was you were having these crises, the girls were, and then by changing their way of life, kind of those prevention tips that you hear about, it really did change their lives and the trajectory of where they are today. I'd love to hear kind of, did you know that just by living, or did you research it, or what happened?
Yes, what happened is how that changed my life. Due to us almost losing Shakara. Shakara had a massive stroke in 2014, and almost losing her. She was in there for a good 2 months. She had aneurysm. She was bleeding 3 places in the brain. Her frontal lobe was damaged, and they didn't even thought that she was going to make it because she was so mangled up due to the sickle cell complication, the stroke. And Then we met a parent who had a daughter who had sickle cell anemia, another super sickle cell mom. She asked me, she said, I heard that Shakara's in ICU. She said, have you ever heard of Dr. Charlie Weir, a holistic doctor? And I said, I've never heard about him. But as a mother, as a caregiver, I was so desperate. I needed answers, and it's like I didn't know where to turn at. And when she told me about him, I was so desperate, I called him immediately. And I reached out to him and told him the situation. He invited us to the office. And I remember him asking me, what all do you feed your children? And I was like, I thought I was just doing an amazing thing, that I was going to win the Best Mother Award of the year. And I was like, I feed them grits and cheese in the morning time with the bacon. He was like, oh, yeah, that's great. What do you feed them for lunch? And I was like, oh, I feed them ham and cheese sandwich. Or what kind of bread? White bread. And what do you put on a mayonnaise, mustard? And he was like, oh, that's amazing. What else do you feed them for like a snack? Oh, flaming hot chips, Oreo cookies, sodas or juices. Oh, awesome. That's great. He's like, what do you feed them for dinner? Oh, fried chicken, rice, and all this stuff, and maybe soda. Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm thinking like, yeah. And until he told me, like, Mrs. Forrest, Mom, it's sad to tell you that you were actually helping your kids to commit suicide unknowingly by their unhealthy diets. And when he told me that, I was like,
Wow.
me? And I said, I was actually inflicting pain on my children unknowingly by feeding them inflammatory foods. I had no clue. And when he told me that, my whole world shattered. It's because of my fault. Me feeding them like this, I almost killed my kid. And I remember that day when I left and I went home, I was so angry with myself. I was angry at the pantry, the refrigerator. I was just so angry. I was like on a rampage. I cleaned everything out and just threw it in the trash. And I was like, we're gonna turn over a new leaf now and today. You know, normally you'll wean them off of the bad food, but I had a kid who was hanging on to life in the hospital and who was fighting for her life. And that I jumped, most folks will just like put their foot in the water. I just jumped straight in, and I knew that I had to save my children. And it took me having to change our unhealthy habits in order to save our daughters because I did not want to be the cause of me losing any one of our girls. I don't think I would have been able to live with
Right.
that. So that was the day
Right.
that we turned over our unhealthy eating habits for a new journey, a new, wonderful, amazing journey that we never knew existed. And we never knew that living with sickle cell anemia, you can have an enjoyable life living with this illness. We never knew that word enjoyable life. We never knew that word existed because our life, it was always, we were always on survival mode every single day, wondering if our daughters was going to make it to the next state. So, and to live this lifestyle with our daughters being almost like pain free, it was unheard of in the sickle cell community.
Wow. So you really stopped on the dime, changed it all, and look at it today. It really did pay off, and it's amazing to hear that. Nazhi, do you remember that day? Do you remember the cookies going in the trash? And
Yes, so yes, actually, like starting from the doctor's office, just hearing Dr. Charlie Ware saying that we can't eat anything that's basically junk food, I was extremely upset because at the time
sure.
I had a sweet tooth. Most children have sweet tooth, and I still have my sweet tooth still today. Um, but I was really upset, but I knew that things had to change for the better and for us not to have a sickle cell crisis. So immediately when my sisters and I went home, we looked up more healthier ways and more healthier treats for us to be able to enjoy. I first started off with flourless and sugarless peanut butter cookies with bananas, ripe bananas, and honestly, my mom and my dad, before I even baked anything, I talked to them about it first, and they thought it was a horrible idea because they thought I was gonna burn down the house. And I was like, no, trust me on this. You gotta trust me. So once I tried it, everyone loved it in the house. And after that, I started to bake more serious things, and I noticed that at the time, a lot of people were making pound cakes or bundt cakes. Some people call it. That's what I call it. And even people were making, what is it called? Cheesecake. So I said, okay, I'm going to make something that's a little bit serious this time, but I don't want my family to try it because then, of course, it's my family. They may not want to hurt my feelings. But once I let the whole neighborhood try my bundt cakes, everyone loved it. And one of my neighbors actually told me, hey, have you guys thought about selling the treats? And we did not think anything about selling the treats at all because we just wanted to change our lifestyle. And after we thought about it, we went back home, and the whole family wanted to actually do it for a great cause. And I believe it was my mom that came up with the idea. And she said, hey, why not use all the proceeds and basically donate it back to children that's battling different forms of chronic illnesses? And the whole family thought it was a super great idea. And after our first fundraiser, we sold I would have to say a good amount of cakes we sold. And our first time going to Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, just to be able to see the smiles on the kids' face, it really warmed all of our hearts, and we noticed that we were on a mission at that time, and we wanted to keep on doing the great deed that we had at first, and we wanted to make it into a journey.
Wow. You guys are remarkable. I love it. Not only did you change your life, but now you're giving back. So tell me how that first bunt cake, selling it to the neighbors and everyone liking it. So now you have the Nazhi the Baker Angel Foundation, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. And is it still the same mission that you're selling these healthy foods that are yummy, but that are also given back to the children with chronic illnesses? Is that still what you do?
Yes. And all the proceeds, it goes back into Nashanta Baker Angel Foundation, and then our foundation donates back to the kids.
That's wonderful. I love it. And tell me, what is your favorite part about that? So you mentioned your whole family. So it also includes your two sisters, your brother, and your dad. Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell me and our viewers where someone should go if they want to learn more about your foundation?
Sure. So if you all would love to learn more about our foundation, our business, and how we got started on our journey, you can always go to our website, which is Nazhi, that is NAZHITHEEBAKER.com. And then you guys can also follow us on social media, which is Nazhi B. Baker, the same as my website. And on Facebook, it is Nashanta Forrest.
Excellent. Well, I will tell you, I love it because I actually found Nazhi and she has the most fun videos and this personality shines, but the whole time she's teaching and educating others and giving back. And it really is something special. And before we wrap up this show, I wanted to know, do you have any final thoughts for our viewers who might, know somebody with sickle cell anemia or want to, help somebody else?
I would have to say that donating blood is super, super important, especially for people that's battling a chronic illness. It would be really, I think it's basically a blessing to donate blood, because then you don't know who's struggling out there that really needs it. And then also for everyone that's battling a chronic illness or just having life challenges, if my sisters and I can be able to follow our hopes and dreams living with sickle cell anemia, then you can too, because we believe in you.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Before closing, we provide our viewers with an opportunity to share comments or ask questions from our prior shows. Rare New England in Motion is the perfect way to expand upon our mission of engaging with our community. Please send us your questions, comments to info@rarenewengland.org. We would also like to thank our show sponsors, Pfizer, Ultragenics, Vertex, Horizon, and the law offices of Weiner, Jackson, and Simmons for your continued support. We are always looking for other sponsors and guests, so please reach out to us via our website. That's our show for today. Thank you again, ladies, for being here. From all of us at Rare New England and all the patients and families who keep rare disease in motion, thank you for watching. And remember, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, then think zebras. Thank you.